On December 15, 2025, the Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham, Massachusetts, delivered a verdict that brought closure to a case that had gripped the region and the nation for nearly 3 years. The courthouse, blanketed in winter's chill, was surrounded by reporters, community members, and those who had followed every twist and turn of the investigation. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, as everyone awaited the outcome of a trial that had revealed shocking details and left a family shattered. Brian Walshe, a once respected member of the community, was found guilty of first-degree murder in the disappearance and presumed death of his wife, Anna Walshe. The verdict was the culmination of a long and painstaking investigation, and it marked the end of a legal battle that had exposed the darkest corners of a seemingly ordinary marriage. The case began as a missing person report in early January 2023, when Anna Walshe failed to show up for work and her friends grew concerned. What started as a routine welfare check quickly escalated into a high-profile investigation, as police uncovered troubling inconsistencies in Brian's account of his wife's disappearance. The search for Anna spanned neighborhoods, wooded areas, and even landfills, as authorities and volunteers desperately hoped for a sign of her. With no body ever found, prosecutors faced the daunting challenge of proving a murder without the most crucial piece of physical evidence. Instead, they meticulously pieced together a case built on digital footprints, search histories, cell phone data, and surveillance footage. Suspicious purchases, including cleaning supplies and tools, raised further red flags. Brian's shifting stories and evasive behavior only deepened suspicions, painting a picture of a man desperate to cover his tracks. The jury's swift, unanimous decision reflected the strength of the evidence and the compelling narrative presented by the prosecution. In the end, they saw Brian not just as a husband in distress, but as someone who had orchestrated a calculated plan to end his wife's life and erase all traces of her existence. The courtroom was filled with a mix of relief, sorrow, and disbelief as the verdict was read. As we explore the evidence and the trial in greater detail, remember, this is not just a story of a crime, but of a family and a community forever changed by loss. The impact of Anna Walshe's disappearance rippled far beyond the courtroom, leaving loved ones searching for answers and a community grappling with the reality of tragedy in their midst. New Year's Eve 2022 was meant to be a night of joy and hope for the future, a time when families gather to celebrate, reflect on the past year, and look forward to new beginnings. For the Walshe family, it was no different. Their home in Cohasset, Massachusetts was filled with laughter, the clinking of glasses, and the warmth of togetherness as they welcomed the arrival of 2023. Nestled in a quiet, picturesque neighborhood, the Walshe family's house stood as a symbol of suburban comfort and security. Friends and neighbors would often see Anna and Brian Walshe with their 3 young sons, enjoying the simple pleasures of family life. But as the celebrations faded and the world slipped into the early hours of January 1st, a horrifying tragedy unfolded behind closed doors. Prosecutors alleged that Brian Walshe murdered his wife Anna while their 3 little boys slept just rooms away, completely unaware of the nightmare taking place in their own home. In the days that followed, Brian told friends and police that Anna had left early for a work trip to Washington, D.C. He claimed she'd called a rideshare and hurried out the door, leaving her family behind. But when investigators checked, there were no records of a rideshare, no flight bookings, and no evidence that Anna had ever left the house that morning. The truth began to emerge, piece by piece. Anna never made it to her destination. Her phone was silent, her social media inactive, and her loved ones grew increasingly worried. Brian's story quickly unraveled as police uncovered inconsistencies and disturbing clues inside the family home. The presence of their 3 young children made the crime even more heartbreaking. What was once a safe haven for the Walshe boys was now a crime scene, forever marked by loss and confusion. The innocence of childhood was shattered in an instant. When Anna's employer reported her missing on January 4th, the case took a dramatic turn. Police began to scrutinize Brian's increasingly suspicious behavior, noting his evasive answers and lack of concern. The community watched in shock as the search for Anna intensified. The delay in reporting Anna's disappearance combined with Brian's actions set off a cascade of red flags. Investigators soon uncovered evidence of a meticulously planned murder and a desperate failed attempt to cover it up. The Walshe family's New Year's celebration had turned into a nightmare that would haunt the community for years to come. In the days following Anna's sudden and unexplained disappearance, The atmosphere in the Walshe household was tense and uneasy. Friends and neighbors expected to see a distraught husband, desperate for answers and actively searching for his missing wife. But what unfolded was something far more unsettling. Brian's behavior was cold and detached. He showed little concern, avoided eye contact, and seemed more preoccupied with his own actions than with finding Anna. Instead of reaching out to friends, family, or authorities for help, he kept to himself, his demeanor raising suspicions among those who knew the couple. Surveillance cameras captured Brian making a series of secretive trips to hardware stores far from his home. He was seen purchasing an unusual assortment of items: cleaning supplies, tarps, a hatchet, and a hacksaw. He paid in cash, wore gloves, and kept his face partially hidden, as if he was acutely aware of being watched. To further avoid suspicion, Brian drove long distances late at night, choosing remote stores and parking lots where he was less likely to be recognized. Prosecutors would later describe his purchases as a dismemberment kit, a chilling term that matched the items he selected with disturbing precision. Cell phone records and surveillance footage tracked Brian as he disposed of heavy, suspicious trash bags in dumpsters across several towns. He made multiple stops, each time under the cover of darkness, carefully choosing locations where he thought no one would notice. When investigators searched the trash facilities, they uncovered a blood-stained rug, a hacksaw with bone fragments, and several of Anna's personal belongings. Forensic testing confirmed the blood was Anna's, and the evidence painted a grim picture of what had happened. Rather than joining the search for his missing wife, Brian was methodically disposing of evidence, attempting to erase any trace of what had occurred. His actions were deliberate, calculated, and left little doubt about his intentions. Every move Brian made in those crucial days told a story, not of a panicked, grieving husband, but of someone executing a carefully planned cover-up. The evidence, both physical and digital, revealed a chilling level of calculation and intent, forever changing the course of the investigation. Brian's son's iPad became a key witness, revealing a series of chilling internet searches. Hours after Anna's death, Brian Googled, "How long before a body starts to smell?" and "How to stop a body from decomposing." His searches grew more specific: 10 ways to dispose of a dead body, how long for someone to be missing to inherit, and dismemberment and the best ways to dispose of a body. He even researched cleaning bloodstains and inheritance laws. These searches showed clear premeditation and a cold, methodical mindset. The prosecution used this digital trail to prove first-degree murder. The iPad, once a family device, became a logbook of horror and intent. Beneath the surface, Brian and Anna's marriage was unraveling, marked by secrets, financial strain, and infidelity. Prosecutors revealed Anna was having an affair and planned to leave Brian, threatening his financial security. Brian was already facing prison for art fraud, and Anna was the family's main breadwinner. The motive: jealousy, greed, and a desperate need for control. Prosecutors argued Brian saw murder as a solution to losing his wife, children, and lifestyle. The timing, just after New Year's, was a tragic twist on new beginnings. The evidence of a failing marriage and Brian's desperation explained why he committed such a heinous act. Brian's defense admitted he dismembered and disposed of Anna's body, but claimed he acted out of panic, not premeditation. They argued he found Anna dead, and fearing blame due to his legal troubles, made terrible decisions in shock. The defense kept Brian off the stand, knowing his credibility was already damaged. But the prosecution dismantled this story, pointing to the timeline and Brian's methodical actions. The internet searches and calculated purchases contradicted any claim of panic. The jury saw through the defense, recognizing a deliberate plan, not a rash reaction. The panic defense simply couldn't overcome the mountain of evidence. After weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated just 6 hours before finding Brian Walshe guilty of first-degree murder. The verdict meant the jury believed he killed Anna with premeditation and extreme cruelty. The evidence, detailed searches, planned purchases, and the violent nature of the crime left no doubt. Brian received a mandatory life sentence without parole. He will never leave prison, and his children have lost both parents, one to murder, one to incarceration. The verdict brought relief and accountability, but the pain of Anna's loss remains. Justice was served, but at an immeasurable cost. After the verdict, District Attorney Michael Morrissey called it not a victory, but the right answer to a tragedy. He thanked the jury and law enforcement for their diligence. Anna's family, though private, expressed relief and gratitude for justice. The Cohasset community, shaken by the crime, found some closure in the conviction. The case sparked conversations about domestic violence and the hidden dangers behind closed doors. Advocacy groups hailed the verdict as a message that the legal system will hold abusers accountable. Anna's story now empowers a broader movement for awareness and support. As the headlines fade, it's Anna Walshe's memory that must endure. She was a devoted mother, a successful professional, and a beloved friend. The case stands as a testament to the power of digital evidence and the determination of law enforcement. It's a warning that domestic violence can hide in any home, regardless of status. Anna's story has sparked vital conversations about recognizing abuse and supporting those at risk. Justice for Anna is not just a verdict. It's a call to remember her life and protect others. Her legacy is a light for her children, her community, and all who seek justice and safety.